Welcome to MMAPlay365. I'm Newsome and I'm here to give you a Base AI recap from our UFC prediction software from last weekend's event at UFC 282. And it was a phenomenal event. There was a lot of finishes. There was finishes all the way up until the co-main event, and then we ended with two decisions. So Base AI hit 73% across the straight pick prediction accuracy, which again, considering there was a lot of finishes, that means there's always a lot of variance, and then the two dodgy scorecards as well, or dodging a lot of people's eyes. For Base AI to hit 73%, I think has done a really, really good job. Anything above 65 we really like, above 70 is nice. So 73% solid considering the event that we got. Really, really happy with how Base AI is finishing the year. And again, we're almost at the end of the year. We launched Base AI in February of this year, and the work that it's done throughout the year has just been phenomenal. I'm really, really happy again overall. We've had to make a few tweaks along the way, but the sport evolves. That's just how we roll. But again, Base AI is solid, and I'm really happy with the outcome, and I can't wait for the coming years to see how much Base AI develops and improves and how big the prediction software becomes as well. So as always with the recap podcasts, we're going to go over a few of the fights from last weekend and tell you where we're at, what we are happy about, maybe some things that we're not happy about. So again, we'll run through it all. We start in the value section as we always do. So this is a section where Base AI has got either a prediction incorrect, but saying that the odds should have been much closer than the bookies and the public suggested, or Base AI has got one right, but again, Base AI was saying that the odds should have been much closer. So the first fight we talk about, Alex Morono versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. So this is actually a prediction that Base AI got correct. It had Santiago Ponzinibbio to win. But what it was saying is that the line should have been much closer than what it actually was. And if you're the type of person that does use MMAPlay365 and does play from a value perspective with Base AI, which I know there are people out there that do that, then Morono wasn't a bad bet at all. Morono to win, Base AI had at 47%. Now at 47%, odds implied, that's plus 113. So Base AI is saying that Morono should be plus 113 on the betting line. Actually, you could have got plus 150. So there's your instant value straight away, because the bookies are offering you a better betting line than what Base AI is saying it should be. So Base AI is providing a ton of value there. And also Morono was winning that fight right up until the final round when he was knocked out. The fight was there for him. The UFC even paid Morono his show and win purse money just because it was that close of a fight and he was just about to win and he'd stepped in there on short notice. So I actually like this prediction from Base AI, because it would have been very easy to say, Morono's coming in on short notice. He's fighting a fighter that's fought some of the best fighters in the world, that's been at the top of the division for many, many years. But Base AI did see that Morono was game in this fight, and Morono was game enough that he was about to win the fight but wasn't. So either way, if you bet Santiago Ponzinibbio based on Base AI's prediction, then you'd have cashed your ticket. If you bet Morono based on Base AI, the value side, then again it would have been the better bet, and it would have been a bet that didn't cash. But again, with variance long term, you'll make profit from that. So again, all round a really solid prediction from Base AI. And the next fight that we're going to talk about from a value perspective is actually the main event, the one which there was a lot of controversy around. I personally scored it a draw myself. Like I said that before the scorecards came out, that I think it could be a draw. And, I did score rounds 1, 2, and 3 for Blachowicz, and then Ankalaev 4 and 5, but a 10-8 in round 5, making it a draw. And although this fight was a draw, it was a split draw. Obviously, Base AI didn't get this one correct or incorrect. And if you did bet this at the bookies, which again, I did bet Magomed Ankalaev, the bookies would just return your money anyway as a push because neither fighter won. But what I did like from this is that Blachowicz to win, Base AI had at 46%. So Base AI did predict Magomed Ankalaev to win. It did favour Ankalaev, but only very slightly. Now, Blachowicz to win at 46%, odds implied, that's plus 117. So Base AI is saying that Jan should have been 117 here. You could have got him at plus 250, plus 285, depending on when you bet him. And again, you look at the fight, it was a draw for a reason, because the fight was so close, because Blachowicz was much more live as an underdog than what the bookies thought he was going to be. But guess what? Base AI knew that. And again, I really like that. I bet Magomed Ankalaev at minus 250. When I saw that Base AI had this fight really close, I did think, shit, like, Base AI is obviously seeing something. And then when you watch the fight play out, you know, it was absolutely bang on. So again, it was neither correct or incorrect, the prediction software. But from a betting perspective and how the fight played out, it was a solid prediction from Base AI. And talking of solid predictions, we go into the solid winners section. So this section, you know, the job that Base AI has done really well. Billy Quarantillo versus Alexander Hernandez is the first one we talk about. Now, this fight is very strange in regards to the predictions, the percentages, and the bookies' odds. And you can find value in it, but you had to pick the right place. And I'll explain what I mean. So Quarantillo to win, Base AI had at 59%. Odds implied at 59%, minus 144. Now, Quarantillo opened around minus 150. He settled at around minus 185. So there wasn't any value on the money line betting Quarantillo straight. So you look at Quarantillo inside the distance. That's a knockout and the submission added together. So again, submission and knockout added together. Quarantillo, Base AI had Quarantillo at 42%. Odds implied on 42% is plus 138. On the betting line, you were getting plus 150 to plus 190. That's now where your value starts to creep in. So if you're betting Quarantillo based on Base AI's predictions, you'd have stayed away from the money line. You'd have just bet inside the distance. Quarantillo finishes more fights than he doesn't. If you want to break that down a little bit further, Quarantillo to win by a knockout, that's exactly what happened. 26% Base AI is saying predicted. At 26%, the odds implied is plus 285. If you bet it on the bookies' betting lines, you'd have been getting around plus 300. So again, there was some value there as well. So depending on how risky you wanted to be, you could have gone inside the distance where, listen, Quarantillo's got a good submission game as well. So that would have been where I'd have recommended it, inside the distance. But if you wanted to be a little bit more daring for the better, bigger odds, then you could have gone for the knockout TKO. And there was value on that finish or the knockout opposed to betting Quarantillo's money line. Now, the next solid winner to talk about, there's value across the board here. We've got Chris Curtis versus Joaquin Buckley. Now, Chris Curtis was actually the Base AI Dog of the Week in our Dog of the Week package. It's $1.99. You get the best underdog or the highest predicted underdog from Base AI, and you get the best underdog from the handicapper, which is myself, in one package. And if both of them lose, we give you your money back anyway. And like I said, that only costs $1.99. So Chris Curtis to win Base AI had at 54%. Now, at 54%, the odds implied, that's minus 117. You could have bet Curtis for anywhere from plus 130 to plus 160. Again, just insane value even on the money line alone. That way you don't have to worry about trying to pick between knockout, submission, decision, DQ. You get it all at the money line. So again, real good value on that money line. However, if you wanted to take it further, you wanted the better odds, you wanted to be a bit more daring, a bit more risky, this is gambling at the end of the day, you could have gone for Chris Curtis inside the distance. Now, inside the distance, all you'd have had to have done is add the knockout and submission percentages together. You get 32%. Odds implied on 32% is plus 213. So Bayes is saying that for Chris Curtis to win inside the distance, it should be plus 213. If you'd have gone to the book, you should have got plus 275 to plus 290, depending on where you bet your money. And again, solid value on inside the distance. However, Chris Curtis is predominantly a boxer, more knockouts and submissions. So Curtis to win via KO TKO, Base AI had at 28%. Odds implied at 28% is plus 257. Again, depending on where you bet, you could have got between plus 270 and plus 310. So whether you wanted to bet Curtis as money line, whether you wanted to bet Chris Curtis inside the distance or Curtis to win via knockout TKO, there was value everywhere from what Base AI was saying the percentages should have been to what the bookies were offering the punters. Now, the next fight to talk about here, very similar actually to Billy Quarantillo. You've got to pick your poison and decide where the value, or find where the value is based on what Base AI is giving you from a statistic perspective. Edmen Shahbazyan versus Dalcha Lungiambula. Shahbazyan to win, 59%. Odds implied, that's minus 144. Now, on Edmen Shahbazyan's money line, there was no value because you were getting anywhere between minus 280 and minus 350. So compared to what Base AI was saying, Shahbazyan should have been at minus 144. there was no value there. And to be honest with you, the fight was relatively close until Shahbazyan did knock or land that one shot that hurt Lungiambula. So it probably wasn't too far off. However, what's really interesting is Shahbazyan to win was 59%, but Shahbazyan to finish and win inside the distance, again, add knockout and submissions together, was 53%. So there was only 6% difference between the inside the distance and the outright win. So again, from BayzAI's perspective, it's saying that Shahbazyan's either going to, if he's going to win, it's going to be by finish. So again, if I'm looking at that and I'm looking at which side to bet, you'd go inside the distance opposed to win all day. And at 53%, the odds implied is -113. So BayzAI is saying that Shahbazyan to finish Lungiambula, it should be -113. Again, depending on when you bet it, what bookie you bet it at, it could have been anywhere between -125, which again, there wouldn't have been value there, but you could have got plus 100 as well. So you still could have got a plus money ticket on that minus money number from what BayzAI was predicting from the percentage. So there could have been some value in that inside the distance bet, again, depending on when and where you bet it. Now, Shahbazyan to win by knockout TKO, 42%. So 42% plus 138 odds implied. The betting line for the knockout straight was plus 115 to plus 128. So again, that number was lower than what BayzAI was saying it should have been, so there wasn't too much value there. So this fight's a good example of when you are looking to bet a fight, make sure you're checking out all options, because in this fight, the only value that you would have had compared to what BayzAI was saying would have been inside the distance, and you'd have only had that value at certain bookies and at certain times. So make sure you do your due diligence when you're looking to use BayzAI, and this is a real good example of why you should do that. And finally, the last solid winner and the last fight that we're going to talk about from this event, and again, another good example of why you need to do your homework, Dricus du Plessis versus Darren Till. Now, BayzAI favoured Dricus du Plessis to win at 62%. Now, 62% odds implied, that's -163. Now, du Plessis opened at around -125 and slowly, very slowly, throughout fight week, got bet up to around -200. So, depending on when BayzAI predictions were put onto the MMA Play website, depends on what line Dricus du Plessis would have been at that time. So if you could have got anywhere close or anywhere under -163, then you'd have got some good value. Obviously, over -163 and it closed at -200, there was no value on du Plessis' money line. However, du Plessis to win inside the distance, bear in mind that du Plessis' knockout percentage and submission percentage were very close, with a slight edge on the submission, but you add them both together because du Plessis got good power, he's got a submission game, so you might not want to take that risk and pick an exact method of victory. So if you took inside the distance at 53%, odds implied is -127. You could have got anywhere from plus 100 to plus 120, so there was value there. Again, if you missed the value on the money line, you could have grabbed the value on the inside the distance. Then when you look at the exact method of victory that was the highest method of victory percentage that also actually played out as well, Dricus du Plessis via submission, which obviously he did win via submission, 29%. So at 29%, the odds implied there is plus 245, and this is where it gets juicy. You'd have got plus 400 to plus 500, depending on when and where you bet, on that exact method of victory. So again, I know 29% is not a high number, but we're playing a probability game here playing a probability game, matching it to gambling. So if BayzAI is saying that du Plessis should be plus 245 to win via submission, and that's the highest method of victory, and you're getting plus 500 or plus 400 or plus 450, wherever you bet it, that's a big ticket, and that's a lot of value as well. So again, a solid prediction overall from BayzAI, another good event. We've got one more next week. Looking forward to those predictions, and then we're into 2022, where BayzAI is nearly going to be 1 year old. So that's it for the breakdown. That's it for this week's recap. We will be back again for next week's event at UFC Vegas 66 for next week's recap predictions and how it's performed. I'm Newsome. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again next week.